You are probably counter-strafing wrong, and even the pros can have a wrong conception of how actually counter-strafing works. And one of my students, who is a British player, oh my god, with
one hand.
is probably better at counter-strafing than you.
I would imagine for me, it's kind of impossible to press both keys.
We're going to be busting a whole lot of myths. Not only that, we're going to use data to actually finalize how we should train our counter-strafes and how they can actually be really useful to us. Okay, let's start by doing something quite different. That is, we don't counter-strafe at all. So let's say we move to the right, we release the D key for 80 milliseconds, we shoot. As you can see, accuracy horrible. Now we bump that number up to a 210 milliseconds and we are stopping. As you can see, the accuracy has become quite good, but it's still not really there. And then we are shooting, so not really there. Bump the number up to 230 milliseconds and you reach full accuracy, meaning, let's say if you're moving into a direction and you don't counter-strafe at all, it will take you 230 milliseconds to be fully accurate. Now, a lot of people think that if you press both your keys, that is counter-strafing as well. So I'm testing it out and trying to convince you, please stop doing that. So as you can see right now, I'm at 200 milliseconds. I'm never releasing D, but I'm tapping my A key for 200 milliseconds. So you can see the accuracy, not really there. It's still very bad. Now, for 230 milliseconds, I'm completely accurate. So what does that mean? It means that when you're not counter-strafing, but pressing both of your keys to counter-strafe, it's the same time to be fully accurate. So it's not counter-strafing. Now, coming to counter-strafing, a lot of people can still have misconceptions. They think it's kind of instant, like 1 millisecond. Let's try it out with 10 milliseconds. So we are moving to the right, we're letting go of D, and then we press A for 10 milliseconds, and then we shoot. As you can see, accuracy, horrible. Let's bump it up to 50 milliseconds. Now we're going to move to the right, we're going to let go of D, we press A for 50 milliseconds, and then we shoot. As you can see, the accuracy is still not there. So what's the magic number? The magic number happens to be 80 milliseconds. So if you counter-strafe with the proper techniques, you become accurate at 80 milliseconds of the reverse direction key after letting go of the original key. And you might be wondering, like, is it the same with all weapons? Yes. So even with an op, let's say I'm doing it right now at 50 milliseconds, you're performing how a good counter-strafe should be performed, but you're only holding the A key for 50 milliseconds, you're not accurate. But if I bump the number up to 80, it becomes completely accurate. So it is not instant. You kind of need to wait 80 milliseconds, but that's not a long time. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened with Plum. There can be a lot of factors that go into it, but it might be one of those cases as well, because optical switches, actuation points, well, they can burn into so much latency. So how do you find out whether your counter-strafes are not that good? Well, for me personally, I was using some of my own tools, but I kind of just got fed up maintaining and it wasn't really that good. And I just needed some solution which was free, and that is where the sponsor of this video comes in. This video is sponsored by Rankacy, a free AI-driven site to level up your game. Generate unlimited high-quality highlights, track meaningful stats, and even measure your banana factor, where less is more. Find your mistakes, analyze counter-strafes, and auto-review your demos by syncing your Steam account. Plus, their training zone helps you improve fast. I use Rankacy daily for coaching others and also for my own gameplay. It's an AI coach by itself. Sign up with the link in the description. It's completely free and it also supports my channel. So how do you get good at counter-strafing? Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind, you cannot counter-strafe all the time, and counter-strafe is just a very small micro part of a larger movement skill and also game sense. Like, it all comes together, like you're spotted, you're shifting a little bit to the right, when do you need to peek, how you need to peek. But when it comes to getting good at counter-strafing, divide it into 3 parts: remove bad habits, engage in real game scenarios, and practice anti-mirroring strafes. So for the first exercise, I was kind of inspired by one of my students. He only has one arm, but he has never developed the bad habit of pressing both keys at once. And I would suggest you guys to go and subscribe to his channel. I think he has 850 subscribers at this moment. Help him get to 1,000. And now coming back, what we can take from there is we need to build our micro movements so that we can get rid of our mistakes. So what I would suggest is just move to a target. Do not counter-strafe at all. Just release your key and shoot. You want to get accustomed with the action of you releasing the key. Then you can add a little bit of flick and flare to it, because not what happens a lot of times when you're counter strafing is the target will be a little bit away, so your first bullet accuracy is dictated by your flick, so you need to do that. Now you also want to counter strafe, but don't go too fast too soon. Try to keep it slow. Keep it slow. Take a little bit of pause, and once you're comfortable, you can kind of speed it up and then do the whole motion together. So just do that on static targets, just like this when you're getting started. And I would suggest do not stand in one line, like do some 180 flicks, because you want to get kind of accustomed when you're swiping over your mouse pad and just moving around. You want to feel in control of your mouse and your character. You don't want it to be something like of a skill. You want it to be ingrained in you, like some muscle memory. And then you add a little bit of flicker in there as well, so you can kind of adjust for improper strafes when you're kind of having improper positioning. Usually in maps, you'll have these walls or crates where you need to pick your enemies from and you need to target, isolate them. So it is really good to kind of keep that in your mind and practice your strafes behind these walls. And for the final one, we're going to look at anti-mirroring strafes. This is going to set you up quite good. So what mirroring basically is, if the target is moving right on your screen, you move to the right, and if they're moving left, you move to the left and counter strafe and shoot. Anti-mirroring is exactly the opposite. And what that means is that your crosshair displacement becomes twice, because you're moving away from the target and then you need to track the target and then you need to kind of perfect your strafe while you're shooting it. So it's quite hard. And you want to practice this because it is the hardest thing to do. And once you master it, a lot of the other stuff becomes easy. So just move in the opposite direction of the character and try to do a perfect counter strafe while shooting them in the head. Now, you might have noticed that I didn't talk about W and S strafing. That is because I'm conducting some research, and till now I found that it's really a waste of time. You're better off crouching, but I'll put it out soon, so be prepared for it, I guess. And if you like content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel and watch out for more.